speaks 8 languages, but Loser is not one of them.
Everything must come to an end. Even without us.
Take care of Loser.
You're cinnamon. Damn it.
Oh no.
You want to play? You want to play? Okay, you want to play? You want to play? You want to play?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time we've all been waiting for. It's round 1 of the Tuatara Championship Season 3. It's going to be an absolute amazing season, and I'm so happy to be joined by the famous Zach Sweeney. Zach, how's it going, bro?
Yeah, should be. Of course, thank you for having me. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here on the F1 scene. First time in quite a while, actually. And of course, it's a privilege to be here for Tuatara, etc. A very, a lot of anticipation leading up into this championship. Of course, very exciting for me. It's something new. Of course, it's the first time we've properly worked together as such. And the prospect of this championship, of course, all of these drivers fighting to get into their respective spots in this championship makes it, the going into it, the anticipation, as I say, coming into it means that we should be in for an absolute belter.
It is indeed, and obviously, like you say, you're very new to these guys, and obviously, to get into this championship, every single one of these drivers has had to battle it out over 4 races to try and even qualify into this championship. And obviously, we've got last year's champion, Carlson, who's really the one to watch out there today. He's the one with the trophy in effect. And of course, this year we have a very, very special guest as well. It's the ex-Formula 1 Esports Haas driver, Floris, and he's the Heineken 0.0 Cup winner who beat actual Max Verstappen in that championship. He joins us as the Tuatara ambassador for this season, so he's also the one to watch out for of his pace, and these guys are very excited to get going and to get this championship underway. With it being round 1 as well, the nerves are going to be there, aren't they?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as I say, these guys have been sort of suspended on anticipation coming into this event. A lot of them, maybe this is their first time, potentially sort of on a big stage and under a ton of pressure. Others, maybe it's a little bit more familiar to them as such. But, the thing that they have to sort of reassure themselves with is, well, there were 20 other people in my lobby that all wanted to join, and I was only one of 4 that managed to get myself in. So I must be doing something right as such. But now what we've got is the best of the best as such. The winners of their respective qualifiers have now got themselves onto this grid. So now they're going to have to beat those that beat the rest all over again if they want to come out on top in the championship.
Yeah, exactly that. And we have some old faces from season 2. They know what it takes to be in this championship, and obviously they've gained a little bit of experience. We've got drivers such as Sam, who last season was either there at the top or he wasn't. Hopefully this season he's learned a little bit, and we're looking forward to seeing what he can do and see if he can bring that consistency. So talking about the drivers and their teams, let's check out the team lineups for season 3. So, in the Red Bull then, we've got Floris and Slapbus. Floris being the ambassador for Tuatara. F1 Lexi and Curse take the Mercedes seat. In the Alfa Ferrari, it is Gagli. Watch out for Gagli. A lot of pace from him, and AFC Wapple as well. Oyster and Phantom are in the orange McLaren. In the Aston Martin, you've got last year's champion Carlson. Alongside him, Nathan Clark. Very, very fast, that guy as well. In the Alpine, F1 Kimi. First time he's in this season. Alongside him is Rocket Man, also first time in the Tuatara Championship. The Alfa Romeo is Zach and Sam. The Alfa Tauri's I See You, and Reese. In the Haas is F1 Banana and AON Optic. Unfortunately, Optic could not make it today. In the Williams is Sloshy and AJ Mackey. That is your team lineup for today, and they are your teams for the whole of the season. We are driving with 19 drivers out there. Like I say, we had a last-minute drop out there from Optic, and unfortunately we couldn't get one of the reserves in quick enough to fill that seat. So 19 drivers out there tonight. I'm just absolutely, like, the nerves are there, even for guys like me who's just commentating on it, because these guys, for me, are the best of the best, and we really did witness something amazing in season 2, and I feel like season 3 we've attracted more fast, competent drivers that really can take it to each other. So I'm really, really excited to get going. So we've got an 18-minute qualifying session here at the Netherlands, the home of the Tuatara, and we're about to get underway. Let's go.
Yeah, let's get going. Of course, 18 minutes on the clock. Get as many laps within that time as possible. Of course, still conforming to their tyre regulations. That's something I'm going to get used to once again. Obviously, my experience for in the form of iRacing and things like that as such. So get myself into the qualifying sessions with limited time sets and such. So yeah, getting these guys out there, they're going to have to be setting in some fairly safe lap times as such, I think, initially, just to sort of bed themselves in. Again, it's a new season, so surely there's a couple of cobwebs to be dusted off.
Indeed there is. Exclamation mark Tuatara. This is what it's all about, the Tuatara Championship. And of course you can get 15% off if you use code Pattypatt15. Sorry there, Zach, I forgot we had the advert there. I forgot to tell you the advert goes on, so I do apologise. We literally missed everything you said.
Oh no, it's absolutely fine. I saw it on the stream and I was a little bit concerned for a second because I was always like, hang on, am I meant to be talking right now? And I was like, 10 seconds back into the F1 community, I've already messed up. This can't be right.
No, to be fair, that was my fault, my friend. That was my fault, of course. I'll tell you what we will do, though, is we will turn you up a bit. Right, there we go. So, there we go. Sorry. Right. Okay. So here we go then. A lot of drivers getting out there right now on their outlaps. F1 Lexi in the Mercedes, all on their outlaps now. A lot of drivers getting out very early, which surprises me, guys. None of them are, taking their time, getting their composure and getting ready for it. A lot of these guys not wanting to mess about here at Netherlands.
No, and to be fair, I can't necessarily blame them. I think coming into such an event, a season opener, the one that you want to impress at as such, this is the stepping stone, the catalyst to the rest of the season, the long season that we've got ahead, spanning all the way to the 19th of March. You don't want to overthink it. You don't want to start doubting yourself and have those hesitations. For me, set up out on track, put a lap time in, and just see how it goes. And then also, obviously, 18 minutes isn't that long. When you think about it, you do an out lap, a flying lap, an in lap as such. That in of itself takes 5-6 minutes sometimes. So realistically, you only get 2, 3, maybe 4 runs at a stretch. You want to make the most of each and every single one of them.
Well, not only that as well, some of these guys, especially at Netherlands, they might be wanting to think about saving a set of softs for the race as well. So we've experienced, normally, you go out, get your banker lap, maybe go out again on the same tyre, but then you leave it right to the end on a nice fresh set of softs. That way, you do leave a pair of softs for the race. And of course, round Netherlands, late safety cars can make a difference, and the soft tyre around here is very, very much overpowered compared to the medium and hard compound tyre. Strategies today for the race probably would be a medium to hards, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say something in that vein. Again, of course, Zandvoort, a circuit where track position takes a lot of precedence. It goes without saying, really, that it's a circuit that's tight, it's twisty, it's narrow, and can, be fairly difficult to overtake. Of course, only 2 DRS zones, one spanning the pit straight, one spanning this back straight towards turns 12 and 13. So overtaking is going to be few and far between, so a one-stop definitely is going to be favourable, minimising the amount of time in pit lane, minimising the amount of positions you lose. And then also, right now, you can take a heap of control of your race just by putting a good lap time in and, sort of setting yourself up really well on the grid.
Well, here we go then. It is Carlson, last year's champion, on his hot lap for the first time here in Season 3. He's got to beat a 108.472 set by the F1 ex-Haas driver of Flores. What can he do going in to turn 3? A very tight angle. The camber of this track is absolutely crazy. It really is. The way you go up the hills, down the hills, left, right, it really is hard to keep these cars, balance through this track.
Yeah, of course, these Formula 1 machines very pointy on the front end, and especially in the F1 game as well, found that they're very responsive, depending, of course, on the setup. But it's all about balance. It's all about keeping the car under control. The moment you start sliding, it is the moment that you're losing time. Through turn 11, of course, and activates the DRS. This is, of course, a time for him to relax a little bit. Purple to the second sector, into turns 12 and 13, through the right, then the left. Make sure to maximize the camber on the left-hand side before you run your way into the very fast last 2 corners.
Indeed. So what is it going to be then for the last year's champion? Is it going to take it to Flores? He comes around the last corner and he's got a little bit of help from the... Oh no, he went in. It's a 108.2 from last year's champion. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. It's game on here in round 1.
Yeah, wow. Straight away bringing the heat in the Aston Martin. What a lap. And of course, a lot of pressure on his shoulders, it must be said. You know, he's expected to do well. Everyone is coming into the session, you and I included, thinking, what's Carson going to do? How's he going to negotiate this, this championship? Is he going to be able to defend his title? Is he going to bring his A game once again? And that is such a difficult amount of pressure to have on your shoulders. So for him to just straight out the gate, be 2 tenths quicker than the next F1 esports driver, that's a statement.
That is definitely a statement. So I think Flores has got his work cut out today. But I tell you what, looking at the times so far of the banker laps, the times are very, very close together. Gagley then comes in with a 109. Still 5 drivers here yet to set a lap time. Let's go on Sam, who is on a hot lap right now.
Yeah, so of course, in the Alfa Romeo into...
It's a 113. It's not a very good lap at all. He just crosses the line with a 113. Mackie coming on his first run as well in the Williams. 11 minutes left. Like you said, how quick this qualifying session goes.
Yeah, I mean, 18 minutes, when you think about it, it's a long time. You've got loads of time. Not really, though, because, you know, as I say, by the time you've got into the session, looked at the weather, loaded your setup, checked everything's right, gone through all your fidgety bits in the complex setups, things like that, then gone onto track, driven your way all the way on the outlap, trying to get your tyres through that temperature cycle, done your fast lap, then maybe your second one, then of course your in lap. You've already lost 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes of the session, and then it's like we've only got 10 minutes left to go. We're basically halfway done. It goes so quickly, and that's something these drivers can't take for granted. Time definitely is, as I say, something that these guys can't think of as a right to have. It very much is a luxury, and you've got to manage it well. Yeah.
So Flores then is coming out on his outlap. We're on board with AJ Mackey in the Williams. What is his lap time going to be? It's a 109.1 for Mackey. Not a bad banker lap for the Williams driver. And Sam, by the way, goes for an extra lap. So he puts a lap of a 113 in. It's like he's gone for an extra warm-up lap here because he's now managed to put a 108.6, which is incredible for a second run on the same tyre.
Yeah, that's more like it. I think maybe the 13... maybe made a mistake at some point, but wanted to stay out and stay in that rhythm. Maybe burning through a little bit more of the tyre, but a 108.6 inside the top 5, very competitive. Less than a tenth, of course, off the second Red Bull driver of Slapbus. About a tenth and a half off the front of the second row, and then a couple of tenths off what could potentially be on the front row if this trajectory, this improvement stays steady. Maybe he's going to come in, put on a fresh set, and then we'll see what the Alfa Romeo can do.
Right, Zach Sweeney, talk us through a hot lap here with Flores.
Well, of course, out of the banking, very much close to the banking of Daytona, in fact. So very much a lot of speed that you can carry through late on the brakes into turn number 1. Of course, just trying to carry that speed through third gear to get the power down. Use a little bit of the curb mix, but not too much. Into turn 2, then the sweeper of 3. Now turn number 4 is a very interesting one. Do you go wide? Do you stay tight? It seems that Vyers are going to try and keep it nice and tight. Then, of course, build the power up on the exit. We go through the sweepers, the left, then the right. The car dancing as you rise up the hill now towards the very quick flick. Just down 1 gear into 6th. Bouncing the car off the rev limiter, and then as we run our way through, just again balancing the car through, not really too much on the brakes, but just keeping the car nicely pointed on the front end into turn number 10, maximize that run on the camber on the inside, use a lot of the track, but a huge slap of oversteer, us a little bit too much, but managed to keep it out of the barrier, fortunately.
He did indeed, and that just goes to show how much you have to push to get those extra temps. It's a do or die moment for these guys, especially at the top end here in qualifying.
Right, yeah, and again, it's qualifying. It's a very competitive championship. Would you want them to be half-hearted around a lap? Would you want them to give a little? No, it's qualifying.
Of course not. That's not what we're here for.
You've overstepped the limit. That's what it's here for. That's how you find the limit, is to go over it. Vyers, in his infinite experience, of course, of practice and running a competitive environment, will look at that and say, you know what? Yeah, I asked a little bit too much of the car then. So the next lap, he'll rein it in by 5%. That's all it needs. Just a little small correction to the left.
I see you right. Slapbus then. He does. Slapbus puts an incredible lap. And he goes ahead of Flores, his teammate, with a 108.462. 10,000ths of a second quicker than his teammate. Great lap from Slapbus.
Yeah, really strong competition from the Red Bull drivers. Of course, only 1/100th of a second between the pair of them. Of course, Carlson still in control on that 1:08.242. Be interesting to see if Slapbus and Flores Fires can, of course, improve as the session goes on. But, for Slapbus to, have that pressure, typical Red Bull second driver seat, well, not necessarily second driver as such, but that other seat in the Red Bull alongside a big name driver, under a lot of pressure.
It is indeed. And the thing is, when you get to these sort of times, it's also other factors come into play, such as being the last one across that line, making sure the track is rubbing in at its best it can be to give your best chance to get those little tiny 10,000th of a second out. So it's going to be interesting to see also the last part of this qualifying and to see how many people go out really late to try and be last over that line to get everything out of the car and the track.
Yeah, fortunately with the Formula 1 game, of course, I'm sure this is no surprise to the majority of the audience watching, but that time at tick 0 doesn't necessarily mean the end of the session. You can still finish your lap provided you cross the line before the checkered flag was waved, which is, of course, a nice little extra incentive to push for that final run, because that you can squeeze in that extra lap right at the end of the session, and that's really where times count. Right at the end, everyone, from their first one to their second one will probably find quite a big chunk of improvement. Then their third, maybe not so much. Then their final run right at the end. It's all about that fine, just that fine tuning, finding the edge of the car, finding that little extra 0.5 of a second that can really make a difference.
Well, here we go again. Flores, round 2 for him. He's got it to do here. And the thing is, Flores, although it's his first time joining the Tuatara Championship as the ambassador, he's got pressure on him, hasn't he? He has got to hold the fact that he is an ex-Formula 1 esports driver. He's also current champion for the Heineken 0.0. So he's got a lot of pressure as well, hasn't he?
Of course, yeah, and again, it comes down to what I was saying about Carlson as well, in regards to expectation. Carlson coming in as the reigning champion, Flores Fires coming in as this spotlight star driver, ex-F1 esports driver. So much pressure on his shoulders to deliver upon that promise that, we've installed upon him. He's now got to go out there, push to his limit, find the limit, and of course deliver on these results. A little bit wide again through the same corner, but not really too dampening in terms of his lap time, I don't think. At the moment, dropped to the back end of the second row, 10.5 improved on his previous best. As it stands, that'll be good enough to see him back onto the front row.
It will indeed, and I was just about to say there, Sector 1 was fastest of anybody, but then we seen him just slightly go wide. But like I say, it wasn't dampened by that. He's a 10th foot, but hasn't kept it together through Sector 3. It's Flores across the line, and it's only second best at the minute at 1:08.266. And my gosh, it is getting tasty out there, ladies and gentlemen.
Very much is. What is that? 24 hundredths of a second, 24 thousandths of a second, I should say. That's nothing. That is absolutely nothing. You could barely see that with the naked eye. Flores Fires absolutely pulling it out towards the tail end of this session. Of course, Carlson. But the thing is, he's been sat on that since the start of the session.
It has
How
indeed.
Much more has he got in reserve?
Well, it depends. It depends what you want to do on this race strategy. Like a 1:08.2 is a very, very good lap. Does he have the confidence to just stay in the pit, save a set of softs now, and just go, look, that's what I can do. I can't get any more out of that qualifying. I'm going to save a pair of softs. If I get beaten in quali, I have the confidence in the race to challenge. And I think from this qualifying session, I think Carlson should be feeling quite confident.
Yeah, of course, putting that lap in, coming in as the reigning champion, putting that lap in right in, asserts himself and says, yeah, I'm the guy. I've cooked this first lap. Match me. I'm the one that's made the mark. You guys are the ones that's chasing me. I'm the one that set the bar. Come and get me, essentially. He's gone out there, done one lap. He's been sat in the pit lane for the majority of the session. If he wants to get another lap in, it'll have to be basically now with such. I can see Aston Martin leaving the pit lane. Not entirely sure if it is going to be Carlson. It is. So he is going out for one final push lap just to maybe cement himself, again, go into the race with an extra little bit of confidence. But as I touched on, track position around Zandvoort is going to be so important. So Carlson, I think, just wants to ensure, in concrete, he keeps that front row.
And he's going out again. He's not happy. He thinks he can improve. He's on an outlap. But just notifying the fact that there is a lot a lot of drivers in the pits, and I think they're all got the same idea of trying to be the last over the line. So I think we're going to have a very, very busy track here come at the end. And Carlson may have to adapt here and deal with a lot of traffic on track.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate thing that kind of does come down to luck as such, because timing of lap traffic, how willing they are to get out your way, how aware they are of their surroundings. It's one of those luck-based things that come into not necessarily just esports or sim racing, but motorsports in general as such. So Carlson is going to have to keep his wits about him and time this to perfection, and just hope that he gets enough space out on track in order to put a good lap time in.
Indeed he does, but just looking at the timings here, this is how competitive the Tuatara Championship is, and the way our format works, it has not disappointed again, guys. The top 17 are separated by 1 second. The top 17, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, the top 9, well, you could say the top 10 really, half a second. Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm astonished, in fairness. Of course, Zandvoort a slightly shorter circuit, so maybe the gaps are, sort of moved ever so slightly in terms of being a little bit more competitive. But it doesn't take anything away from these guys. 1.3 separates P1 to P20. And when you think about it, that's not a lot at all.
Not at all. Driving on board then with Rocket Man. I know this guy through another league, Formula 7, and he's a very fast guy. He made it in just about qualified for the Tuatara Championship. But we're going to give him a bit of airtime because he's in the Alpine, of course. So he's a 108.7 at the minute. His Sector 2 times are up in the top right-hand side there. Just keep an eye on it and see how he gets on through this. A lot of traffic on the gate. He's got a Ferrari ahead of him, I think, on a hot lap as well. That could be affecting his balance, right?
Potentially so, but of course looking beautiful as ever in the Alpine. Let's see how he gets on, and I think he's backed off on this lap.
He has indeed. Oyster, what's happened to Oyster? Oyster's retired he's retired. He's done enough. Oyster can't beat his time by the look of it, and he has retired and had enough of this session. There are no more improvements then for Oyster. They're all coming thick and fast now, but this is the guy we want to see, is Flores, currently in P2. By the look of it, I think he had fastest sector of Sector 1 there, purple sector.
Yeah, half a tenth up as he crosses the Sector 1 line now. Of course, the final corner of Sector 2, Rocketman out of this session as well. All he needs is 24 thousandths of a second, 0.024, in order to take that pole position away from Carlson. 2.5 tenths up, a quarter of a second gained in that middle sector. Now, all he's got to do is keep it nice and tidy for the final 2 corners.
He does indeed. Well, it's the pressure's on Flores, and I think he's going to try and perform here. Can he put it on pole for the first time of round 1? It's Flores across the line. Does he get pole? He does! It's a 108, pretty much dead. Holy moly, that is fantastic!
Yeah, but also Carson, I believe, on a slight improvement, only just, though. He's going to need 0.2 of a second. Huge.
He's got traffic. He's got traffic, Zach. He just had a bit of a wobble on the rear. I'm wondering if that car in front just put him off. He is going to get a bit of help down the straight, but let's have a look at his Sector 2 times. Yeah, see, so unfortunate for Carlson, Zach.
Yeah, right. The death of it was at the top of the mountain for all of this session, but Forest Fires, when it counted, you do not need to top a single lap in this qualifying session, apart from the one at the checker. Carlson in control for 17 minutes. Forest Fires 18-0. What a lap!
Absolute fantastic. I like when these are the things when you get these drivers that are that quick. The pressure just doesn't. It just makes them better. Me or you will go out on the track with, last chance to do it, not looking too great, and we'll fumble it. But not Flores. Flores, last chance to do it, and my gosh, did he do it. 2 tenths faster than Carlson in the end.
Yeah, there are 2 ways that you can sort of deal with pressure as such. I mean, there are some that crumble, there are some that thrive. At the end of the day, pressure makes diamonds. Forest Fires, used to being under a lot of pressure, being part of a huge organisation in the form of Haas Esports and such, puts the lap in. It's just another day in the office. It
is indeed. So the man to beat out there, of course, qualifying is one thing. The race is another, Zach. Up next then, it's a 50% race. around this Netherlands, the home of the Tuatara business themselves. So Floris then takes a pole position. Carlson in P2. I see you gets a third. ERT Zach fourth. Slapbus then in fifth. Oyster in sixth. Didn't improve on his last lap. Reese in seventh. Curse in eighth. Sam gets a ninth place, and rounding off that top 10 is Rocketman.
Yeah, nicely done from the Alpine driver. Of course, that sets us up for what should be a very, very fun grid. Of course, beyond that, still very competitive. In the end, it was 1.1 seconds from first down to Kimi in P20. Insane competitiveness. 36 laps of action, though. Let's get round one off with a bang.
Well, I've got to say, it didn't disappoint. It didn't disappoint. All the build-up, the whole week of qualifying to get into this championship. We had less numbers this year, but a lot of fast drivers wanting to compete. And, after seeing that qualifying session, we are in for one hell of a race, and I believe one hell of a season. Floris doesn't have this easy. He doesn't have this easy, does he?
Nah, not at all. I think Carlson and those behind are not going to make it easy for him. He can't come into this. None of them can come into this complacent because, yeah, you've earned your spot. Yeah, you're a quick driver. Yeah, you've got some good pace about you. But over the course of a 10-round season, can you deal with the mental strain that takes? Can you be consistent enough? Because it's all good turning up at round one and being competitive. What about when we go to Spain, Abu Dhabi, Austria, Imola, Canada, Britain, Jeddah, Brazil, and Portugal for the 10-week season? Are you going to be competitive at each and every single one of those? If the answer isn't yes, good luck winning the championship, mate.
Exactly that. And there's one thing that Carlson does have, and that is experience on winning a championship. Season 2 champion is Carlson, so he knows what it takes to win a championship here in the Tuatara League. So he's got that experience. Floris has got the experience of being in a big F1 team before. And to be honest with you, one little mistake, you're going to find it hard to get that back. Like I say, qualifying separated the top 17 by 1 second. So one little bit of mistake, and you could be in the trouble here. And like I say, it's about picking those moments. Not overtaking, battling at the right moment, saving that ARS. These sort of things at this level really does make a huge difference. Tire management, fuel management, picking the exact amount of fuel and having that experience to know how much fuel. A little bit of luck can be involved as well with the amount of safety cars we might see, but we didn't see a lot of safety cars in the Tuatara Championship. We did towards the end as it got a bit more heated. But overall, these guys have qualified for this event, and, over 5 races, you've got to be consistent just to get in here.
Yeah, and I think that's why the format of the qualifiers worked really well, is because it forced you to demonstrate consistency, but also the cutthroat mentality that you need to succeed. Only 25%, effectively a sprint race as such. So you just need to drive flat out from start to finish, and of course has earned them this spot on the grid, all to play for in the race. Just having a quick look at the tyre choices on the formation lap. Carlson for the softs, Vi is on the mediums, so maybe the Red Bull driver thinking more long game as opposed to Carlson wanting to get in maybe a quick and punchy start. Exactly that.
Slapbus on the hard compound tyre along with Sloshy going long. It's interesting to see AJ Mackey there in 17th on the softs. It looks like he's going to be quite aggressive off the start and believes in himself to make some positions up there. So keep an eye on AJ Mackey in 17th, but it's all about that start and just staying out of trouble in turn 1. It can get a bit juicy here at Netherlands. It's short run to turn 1, but it's a hard breaking point, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And of course, cold tires, the nerves as such of dealing with the first round of a season. You've just come off qualifying. We've all been there. Shaky legs, shaky hands, that feeling of coldness that just consumes you at the start of a race. It can overwhelm you. You've got to be so careful to focus forwards.
It is indeed. So here we go. Oh dear. Looks like we've got a bit of an issue there with the AlphaTauri. So hopefully he can leave the game. If he leaves the game and joins back, he might be okay. So if F1 Reese leaves the game and then joins back, it should sort itself out. We had this glitch before in Formation Lap. I was tempted to not put the Formation Lap on, but with this sort of league, you've got to warm up those tyres correctly.
You do indeed. Well, we head to the 5 red lights for Season 3 of the Tuatara Championship. It's Forest Fires and reigning champion Carlson on the front row. We get up and under it. Well, no, we don't actually. One of them does, and then the rest of the field is
And it's a
released
safety
down
car
into the
straight
center line.
away. We did think that was going to happen. Unfortunately, guys, we've had a bit of a glitch here, and it is a safety car. So it is unfortunate that we didn't get the start we were looking for there in the Tuatara Championship. But, you know, some things are out of our control, Zach.
Well, guess we're just going to have to go for a rolling start now as such.
Yeah, we may have to. Let me just invite the guys that need to come in. I do apologise, guys. This does happen.
Well, things happen, of course, ladies and gentlemen, and again, things that are unfortunately outside of our control. Again, factors into the luck-based things sometimes with sim racing as such, but nonetheless, shouldn't take away from the fact that we should still have an amazing season opener, albeit with a slightly altered start as such, but not really much that we can do. The overcast weather may be something to keep an eye on over the course of the 36 laps as well. Keep an eye on, maybe we could see some rain later on. Maybe that's why we're seeing some differences in terms of the tyre choices. But at the moment, under the Aston Martin safety car, and hopefully everyone can get back going again as soon as possible.
Well, Reese has joined back in. I've sent an invite to Nathan. But we'll just see how this plays out, guys. Hopefully Nathan can get himself back in. Like I say, it is a safety car start now, which probably would help Floris, wouldn't it?
Yep. Yeah, it will. Of course, it relies less on the traction of the start and more the control and how you know, deal with someone behind you, when you punch it, how you manipulate the pace to better benefit you. That's something I'm sure Vyers is very accustomed to, but also Carson, he's probably not too big of a stranger to.
Sorry to interrupt there, Zach. We do have issues here, guys. We're going to have to restart the lobby. So everyone back out. Unfortunately, Reese and Nathan have completely retired the car. It's not the end of the world for Reese, but when Nathan Clark has retired the car, he is a Division 1 driver. And obviously Reese was I believe Reese is Reese a reserve or not? No, I don't think he is he? So guys, we're going to restart the lobby. I do apologise, but these things do happen. Unfortunately, the formation lap has bugged the game out, so we will be restarting the lobby. Give us about a couple of minutes, guys, and we will be back in a short intermission. Zach. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. Do apologise for that. I'll just get everyone to ready up. We've got everyone back in. We've got them in position. No qualifying now, and it's the race to go. So we did it's a little bit of an anticlimax, but at least we get the start we want now, Zach. You know.
Yeah, well, that's always the silver lining to it. A standing start, of course. And yeah, we get a proper start to the season as such. Full 36 laps still, of course, full race distance from what you're used to. Just waiting for everyone to ready up, of course. And we're still excited as ever to kickstart the season. Of course, Vyers and Carlson on that front row. Exciting stuff in terms of obviously the reigning champion and our spotlight driver. Let's bring it on.
It is, yeah. So hopefully the formation lap is off. So hopefully we don't have that issue again. The thing is, I was toying with the idea of not putting it in because I did have some issues before in a league that I was racing in. But I just assumed that they might have been fixed by then, you know. But there we go. I feel like we got that done pretty damn quick, ladies and gentlemen. I think we need a round of applause. Me. I need the plot. No. We did it. We're back. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being patient. There's 30 of us ready to get going to watch this epic race. Like I said, Floris, the ex-Formula 1 esports driver for Haas, is on the pole. Carlson, last year's champion. He's going to want to take it to him. This is not going to be easy for him. The guys are putting their setups on right now. And once again, tired. They've got to do it all again. They've got to reset. How hard would it be for these drivers right now? You know, they've got themselves sorted. Like, what's going through their mind?
A lot. Well, the thing is obviously at the start of the grid, when you see those 5 red lights come on, it's just adrenaline. Your body just spikes it through, and then it's, we reset in the session. So then it just plummets back down again. So either you ride that and you just let yourself chill out, calm the nerves a little bit, or you just ride the wave of adrenaline. You just keep yourself pumped up, ready to go, because some people can't deal with the crashes. So yeah, I'm sure there's a lot going through their minds, a lot of doubts. Maybe they're rethinking their plan. Maybe they're reconsidering their tyre choice for the start. Whatever it is, I think they just have to trust their gut and go with the first thing that comes into their head.
Indeed, they do. Yeah, we are missing a driver tonight. It's ERE Optic. And I believe the lobby's not doing well as well. Again, I don't know what's going on here, but it looks like the lobby may have had a moment again by the look of it. I really do hope not.
Hopefully we're just waiting for people to ready up onto the grid, but yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed it goes all right this time, because third time lucky probably isn't the way we want to go.
No, not at all. But at the minute it's waiting for drivers. Oh, here we go. I heard something. I did invite Walpole. I did invite him. He should have an invite somewhere. He did actually get an invite. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 5 red lights. And away we go. Finally underway here at the Netherlands Grand Prix. Floris gets a good start. So does Zach there. The Aston Martin of Carlson does hold off the AlphaTauri, but he's got under pressure right now from the Alfa Romeo. And they all go through single file into turn 3.
Yeah, they do indeed. Perfect start from Vyers, but the reigning champion Carlson looking to send one to the inside of turn 4. The space closes, of course. ICU trying to put a little bit of pressure onto Carlson as well as they rise their way through the sweepers into turn number 8, and it's still Vyers that's firmly ahead.
Not a bad start from all these guys then. No instance in turn 1, which is good to see. And like I say, very close racing on this opening lap. I say that. Red flags out the back. Gagley and Phantom look like they've come together.
Yeah, looks like so. They're both tumbled down a number of places. Phantom, Gagley, 5 places apiece. Reese down 10 as well off the initial start. Side by side in that fight for third as well. Zach looking to send one in the Alfa Romeo, but around the outside goes the AlphaTauri of ICU. They battle it out, and it's going to be the Alfa Romeo that reigns supreme and climbs himself onto the podium. Upper place from the start. Zach on a charge.
Zach definitely on a charge, and Floris really doing a good job out the front as we enter lap 2 here at the Netherlands. We did have a few guys coming together there. I think the nerves got the better of them.
Yeah, maybe so. Easily done on the opening lap. Cold tyres, the nerves, as we say, the cobwebs And also just the fact that it's a race start at the end of the day, side by side in the background, I think, as well, as we've got Curse and Slapbus, I think, momentarily going at it. Not the best of starts from the second Red Bull, so obviously he'll be looking to make amends from that as the race goes on, but already about a lap and a half through, side by side as well, the two Williams, Mackie versus Sloshy, up through the climbers into turn number 8. Nate Clark picks his way nicely into the top 10 as well.
It does indeed, and just a note there seems to be already 2 gaps forming there. Lexi, 1.3 seconds from that front pack. He's got to get a move on here and try and stick with that DRS train.
Yeah, that's going to be a big divider over the course of this race. Of course, as soon as we tick over onto lap 3, DRS will be enabled. But Mackie eyeing up the move. The more they battle, the more time they're going to lose, especially here at Zandvoort. That's so tricky, so technical. The more time you spend side by side battling, the more time you're going to end up losing to the cars in front. And that is the last thing that these guys can afford.
Yeah, so like I said, DRS then will be enabled this lap. Flores then with a 1:11.5. But Carlson's sticking with him at this point.
Yeah, nicely done. In fact, I'm actually really impressed with him, considering the fact that Carlson has gone for the hard compound tyres to start this race, as opposed to Forest Fires opting for the mediums, presumably for a more punchy start. So if Carlson can use those hards, stay in the DRS train, and of course will suffer less degradation as the race goes on, he could be in a very good position later on.
Kurse then gets the move done on the McLaren. McLaren not happy about it. He is not allowing that position to be taken lightly, but great job from Kurse. He's got himself up in a P5.
Yeah, really good job from the Mercedes, of course. Now, they're not going to be too happy about that, but all eyes have to focus forward. The thing is, as I say, you could not afford to battle this early on in the race. Suck it up, take the loss, stay with them, and work your way forward. The mutual benefit of working together and closing in on that fight for the lead is going to be so much more beneficial to you than settling for 5th this early.
Yeah, just looking at the tyre strategies here, Carlson has opted for the hard compound tyre, and he's doing a great job holding with Flores. This is going to get interesting come strategy later on.
Yeah, did touch on it just a moment ago, of course, with Carlson doing a really good job. And of course, if he can stay in that slipstream throughout the stint, at some point Vyers is going to have to go onto the hards. At some point, Carlson is going to have to go onto the mediums. When they then switch, if Carlson is still right on the back of Vyers, or maybe in front of them, of course, as he goes longer into the stint, he's going to have the softer and fresher tyres in maybe those last 16 or so laps of this race, whereas Vyers is going to be buffering on those hard compound tyres. As it stands, provided he stays within a second, Carlson is firmly in control of this race.
He is indeed at this point, but looking at the position changes here, 4 laps in, look at AJ Mackie, up 9 positions, the biggest gainer so far in this race. He's looking punchy out there.
Yeah, getting the race off to a good start, and that's exactly what he needs to do, especially while the field is close together, maximise it. Because if you sit around, obviously 16th, 17th, 18th, that sort of region, obviously where Mackie started in would have been 17th, of course, the best thing you can do, of course I say don't battle too much as to stay with the pack in front. But if you're 15th, 16th, 17th, you've not got much to lose anyway. So just go for it. While everyone's nice and densely packed together, you can make some really easy moves before the field starts to spread.
For sure. And the thing is, he's 2.5 seconds off that front pack. He really could do with using those soft compound tyres now to try and bring that back. And of course, everyone behind, it'd probably do well to not battle him now and just get dragged along by those soft tyres and the extra speed that the Williams has. At this level, it's all about tyre management, ERS saving, and like I say, staying with that front pack.
Yeah, it is. And of course, just thinking long-term as such. Only a 50% race, so not the longest in the world. Probably going to be about 40, 45 minutes as such in time. But you still think long game. You still cast your mind, where do I want to be in those final 5, 10 laps of this race when things are really starting to die down and fizzle out? How can I set myself up best to be in the best position possible? Because you can't settle this early on. Like this battle that we're watching right here, Lexi versus Sloshy into the chicane. Of course, the Mercedes going partially defensive. But if I was in Lexi's position, I'd be like, yeah, just go for now. We've still got so much of this race left to go. There is no point in me battling you this early on.
And of course, he's gone for the hard compound tyre as well. So, it's within his interest to just, plod along and be patient, stay out of trouble. Hang on a minute. Lexi, the Mercedes has gone in for a pit stop, very early pit stop for him. And I wonder what that strategy's for, because there's no wing change there.
No, there's not. Maybe, surely not hards to the end. There's no way.
Maybe he's thinking that, you know, with the track being so busy, he can get those hard compound tyre with a bit of free air in front of him and just plod along and see how it ends, how it performs at the end of this race. But yeah, it's a long way to go on those hards.
I was going to say, surely this forces him onto a two-stop, and I get the point in regards to the, you know, getting out of the traffic and getting some clear air as such, but the benefit of that, is that going to gain you a pit stop on net time? And even if it doesn't, are you going to stretch these tyres 30 laps? They're going to be absolutely destroyed at the end of this race. I can't see the net gain in this.
Well, to be fair, we've just had information come through that Lexi had made a rookie error and forgot to put a setup on and went balanced. So for him, very rookie error for him, but of course, you know, that's one thing that, you know, with the troubles that we had with the lobby restart, you know, you've got to keep yourself switched on to those things. And unfortunately, that's a harsh lesson for F1 Lexi tonight.
Yeah, and it's essentially an irreversible mistake. Yeah, you can tweak your front wing in the pit stop, but all that's going to do is disrupt the front rear balance and maybe do you more harm than good as such. So being in a setup that's tuned to you, that you can drive well with and you can drive fast with, is of course mightily important. And a small lapse in judgment, pre-season nerves, or well, first round of the season nerves, I suppose, as such. It's easily done. The pressure gets to you, or you just, you know, just forget. I mean, we can hype it up as always, the pressure, but it's just a simple, oh yeah, I forgot.
Just looking again, that AJ Mackey is lost a position to Nathan Clark. Nathan Clark now in 8th position, but he's 4.4 seconds, and that gap is just getting bigger. And the reason for that is he's got no, he's at the front, but he's got no slipstream or anything like that. So two groups are forming here, and I believe points, you know, for this round one. Getting on the points is the main thing here, and I feel like that we're going to have a hell of a battle here for the last points of the grid come the end of this race.
I mean, it depends obviously what your individual goals are. For the likes of Forest Fires and Carlson, it's I'm here to win. Maybe for those that scraped in through their qualifiers and qualified sort of 14th, 15th, their goal is purely points. And that's completely okay. So if they're fine fighting for this 8th, 9th, 10th place, then, you know, that's up to them as such. They're going for their own individual goals, and this 8th place might mean so much more to Nathan Clark as it potentially would to Carlton if he was in this same position as such. Not to obviously put Nathan Clark down or anything like that.
Oh, F1 Lexi's retired! I believe he's had enough. Sorry to interrupt there, Zach, but I think, you know, with him having that balance set up, he's decided that round one is not for him. So unfortunate for him, but for a minute there, I just seen yellow flags and thought the worst. But that's kind of dampened a little bit there for Carlson. No, there's no VC, but it was looking like the medium tyre just starting to go through the first phase of drop-off. Carlson looking very racy on the back of Flores at the minute.
Yeah, potentially so. You can see the DRS forcing Vias to go defensive. In fact, into turn number 1, is the brake going to be strong enough for the Aston Martin? He pulls alongside, of course, gets the squeeze from the Red Bull. Not quite got the agility yet. The crossover not yet there for Carlson to launch a move to the outside. Of course, they've still got the threat of Zach and ICU in behind, so a 4-car train here for the lead.
Yeah, so if you're Carlson now, you're thinking, okay, I'm feeling pacey right now. I'm on the hard compound tyre. He's got to think two ways here. Like, he's got to get in front and use the fact that he's on those hard compound tyre, take it a little bit further than the mediums, of course, but he's also got to be very careful because Zach is literally right there. Any sort of mistake on an overtake could bring Zach right in the game and lose position. So he's got to be careful, Carlson, but at the same time, he's got to use the advantage of those hard tyres at some point in this race.
I think he's just got to be patient, wait for that moment to strike. As I say, track position, incredibly important here at Zandvoort. So as it stands, Vias has got the upper hand in the sense that he is just ahead. No matter what tyres he's on at what stage, as long as he's ahead, he's got the advantage. As long as he's quick enough off the exit of this bank corner at the exit, and then, of course, into turn number 1, he should be fairly okay to defend. But, of course, look at the overspeed from Carlson. Pulls out to the right-hand side. Is it going to be hard fought by the former F1 esports driver? I don't quite think so. Carlson into the lead, and now Vias, I'm sure, going to be happy to just sit there, sit in his slipstream, save some tyres, and stay close on him.
So Carlson finally gets ahead then of Floris on those hard compound tyres. Sorry, I missed that, guys. I had to quickly close the kitchen door. Apologies. So yeah, Floris then starting to struggle on those mediums. And I've got to say, these top four are starting to pull away from the likes of Oyster now in the McLaren.
Yeah, they are indeed. Of course, just checking in with Oyster at the moment. He's got his own problems to deal with. Of course, he's got Curse there, breathing down his neck in sick. Slapbust as well, trying to recover from the slow start in 7th. So, of course, that 2.3 second deficit, not impossible to close, especially if the front four begin to battle. But if Kerr starts putting some pressure on, if Slapbus gets into the mix, that gap is only going to get bigger and bigger. There's the Mercedes to the right-hand side. Of course, the McLaren going to try and keep it firm on the outside. So close, dropping. I think they actually momentarily did rub wheels through turn 2, then into 3. It's Kurz that now assumes the right-hand side and the outside for turn number 4. Alster has to back out, but he's going to send one back to the inside of the back corner at 3. It's going to be a case of who puts their foot to the floor first. I think the Mercedes has got the measure.
That's absolutely beautiful wheel-to-wheel racing. That's what the Tuatara Championship's all about. Fair play to them guys. Fantastic.
Yeah, indeed. So great respect given. It takes 2 to tango at the end of the day. So, of course, Alster, yeah, he did get overtaken, but he did it so gracefully and tried his best, fought to the very end. And, of course, we're not quite there at the very end either because he still has plenty of opportunities to get that 5th place back. Just checking in once again at the front, but nothing really happening too much. Carlson from via Zach and then ICU assumed the front 4. Carlson, though, holding firm on those hards. Of course, the further into this race we get, the better those hards will become relative to the mediums. Probably around maybe lap 15, 16 as such, we could really start to see those mediums struggle.
Indeed we can, but Floris is not having any of it. He's having a little sniff to the inside, just trying to put Carlson off a little bit, but Carlson is very experienced with all that and didn't get put off whatsoever. He's a man on a mission. He's the one to beat this season, and I spoke to him before the race. He's very excited to take it to Floris this season. He loves the competition.
Of course, yeah, and I think that is going to be a huge challenge for both of these drivers, in fairness, to have that competition with each other, to go toe-to-toe, taking each other to new heights, because that's the best way to improve, is to be with someone who is the same pace as you, maybe a slight little bit quicker over the course of a season, because it forces you to adapt. It forces you to get quicker. That spirit of competition makes you want to get after them, makes you want to deliver some good results. So for Carlson, for Floris Vise, it's going to be a challenge for the pair of them, and we get to enjoy every single round of it.
We do indeed. There's battles all over the track here, all in different sections. But, you know, just talking about the strategy of the race, you know, there's gaps forming here, but, you know, you can't panic. So if you're in the likes of, you know, Rocket Man, sitting in the points at the minute, in a little group of their own, you know, you don't want to be panicking at this stage of the race because, you know, a safety car could happen at any point of this race and it brings them all back together again. So you don't need to be panicking. You don't need to be sending silly moves at this stage. You've just got to race, be patient, and do what you're doing. But you know, the gaps are really forming, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Of course, we're starting to get into that stage of field spread as such. Have seen a little bit of a battle between the Haas and the Alfa Romeo. Of course, Banana versus Sam as they run their way through the first sector. Once again, the Alfa Romeo stores his way around the outside. Very nicely done. Bit of a twitch from the Haas, and then the AlphaTauri Vree says, cheers, mate. On the inside, the up and under, though, potentially from Banana. Could see him launch a counter-attack, but all in vain in the end. Tucks in for his 16th place.
AlphaTauri did need a second invitation there from the mistake from the Haas, and the Banana then loses 2 positions, but he's sticking with them, and he's managed to gather himself back up again and stay within this battle.
Yeah, and of course that's the important thing, not necessarily making the mistake in of itself, but how do you recover from it? How do you keep yourself on your feet? And of course, not to give up at all, because as you've touched on, safety cars, mistakes, disconnects, anything along the lines could still play into your benefit. Not over until it's over. Very close for the lead. I think actually potential change for the lead. Here comes Forrest Vyers sending the move to the inside of Carlson. Also, you've got Zach and ICU swapping places in that fight for third. Continuing their run side by side. The Red Bull has the advantage and takes back the lead on lap 14.
Wow, Floris saying what a move. There was 4 cars going into turn 1 side by side there. And Floris comes back out on top once again on those medium tyres. They don't look like they're giving up just yet, do they?
No, Forest Fires, obviously, magic in terms of his tyre conservation. ICU and Zach as well, not doing too bad. Maybe Carson is just out-driving those hards as opposed to being, you know, the hards being quicker than the mediums as such. Maybe those mediums still have a little bit of life left. But also, let's not underestimate the power of the DRS at such a downforce-oriented circuit. So much drag is going to be going to those rear wings of those around them. If you've got DRS, you've got a huge advantage relative to that car in front.
So yeah, great battling from them guys. Just the two guys that have gone into the pits then, Banana and Phantom, the first ones to get off the medium tyre on lap 14. So they were first to jump there. Is that going to bring some others in this lap? Who knows? We'll have to wait and find out. I believe it's the mid pack that needs to kind of keep an eye on that. But yeah, first ones to jump then, Banana and Phantom have gone into the pits. Rocketman and AJ Mackey swap places there. I believe it's because Mackey has also gone into the pits to get rid of those softs. 15 laps on the softs there. Not bad.
Fair play. Yeah, that's longer than I'd expected the softs to have last. Nearly got them to halfway. So maybe taking obviously 2 degrees harder in terms of the hard compound tyres should be a no-brainer to go from softs to hards. Of course, Mackey making some big gains as well with those softs, and we'll be looking to mostly consolidate them really on that hard compound tyre strategy. Maybe to use the hards while they're fresh, gain a couple more places in terms of net time relative to those around him. All in all, not a bad strategy, and I think, yeah, soft to hard, not a bad shout in the end.
No, he's gone on the hard tyre. So has Sam. Banana's gone on the mediums. I'm wondering if he did start on the softs or he had a bit of damage or something. But he's gone on to the mediums there. Will the mediums go to the end of this? They might stretch to the end, mightn't they?
To the end? Oh,
it's going to be close, isn't it?
Well, I mean, if you can take softs 14, I don't see much reason why you can't take mediums as such. Maybe, what is it going to be, 20 laps now at the line. We'll obviously see what Vire's ICU and Zach do at the front and see how long they stretch their medium tyres. But of course, don't forget that these guys started on the mediums with a full tank of fuel and as such are carrying more weight, therefore more wear on the tyres. Kimmy, in fact, moved his way up ahead of Sloshy now. Well, still on the mediums actually relative to the hard, so still waiting for that crossover point to happen. But of course, Banana now on the mediums with a slightly lighter tank of fuel will suffer less wear, so maybe could stretch them to the end.
Yeah, maybe that's possible. We'll wait to find out. But I'm actually quite shocked on the tyre deck here. We thought maybe that the mediums were going off at lap round 13 when Carlson took the lead. But, you know, he's back in the lead, Floris. And the mediums don't look like they're giving up anytime soon.
No, they don't. He's not slowing down by any means. And his pace definitely not struggling as a result of it. Half a second between himself and Carlson. Of course, the important thing, while there is still life left in the tyres, I'd say Vires, throw everything at the next 2 laps, get out of that DRS range, and maybe allow Carlson to be eaten up by the likes of Zach and ICU, who I believe is into the pit lane in the background, trying to potentially go for an undercut for track position.
So this is an important one. This could genuinely kickstart the front runners to come in the pits then. ICU, the first one of the top 4 to take that jump, and he goes onto the hard tyre.
Yeah, so mediums too hard doesn't really make much sense to do anything else. So, of course, taking his mandatory tyre change, of course, of this race, be very careful on the pit exit with cold tyres and a traction zone, and then, of course, a corner. Very easy to mess that up. Rejoins the race in 10th, and, more importantly, with some clear air. 3 seconds ahead, 6 seconds behind. He can push, warm those tyres up, get up to pace, and then potentially go for an undercut on the rest of the top 3.
But pit stop then for the Aston Martin of Nathan Clark hasn't worked out how he wanted to. He's come out the pits behind AJ Mackey. Remember, AJ pitted a lap earlier than him to get off those soft tyres, and he's got the jump on Nathan Clark.
He has Mackey, though. You know, his pace is indisputable so far in this race, getting that start on the softs and working his way forward. Of course, came on to the hards.
Floris in the pit, Zach!
Into the pit lane, the race leader responding to the move made by the AlphaTauri in and then out. Hard compound tyres going on. Carlson and Zach, though, continue for yet another lap.
They do indeed. Obviously, Carlson on the hard tyre. How long more will he go on those hard tyres? Now, you've got to remember, Flores is going to come out on the pits with the hards, with fresh tyres. He's got to keep an eye on his lap times for sure, because he doesn't want to be too far behind. You know, it's crucial you're sticking that the slipstream of other drivers, you know. So the thought process of where you're going to come out while you're racing is very difficult in this game, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's, of course, the difficult thing about being a sim racer as such, unless you're part of a huge organization, you've got to be your own strategist, your own engineer, your own driver, and then obviously deal with everything that's going on around you all at once. And it's so difficult to obviously maintain all of that. It's why I've got such high amounts of respect for sort of high-level F1 drivers in the form of the F1 games. And so, well, obviously the real-life guys as well, but that goes without saying. But the F1 esports guys, really quick, and then, of course, can deal with their own strategies and everything like that whilst out on track, all simultaneously driving the car at blisteringly quick lap times, controlling it and showcasing such large amounts of skill. Flores Viers, though, catching a little bit of traffic in the form of Sloshy and Kimmy. He's got to be so careful as to not fall victim to them. Takes the low line, though, with the DRS activated. That's always a little bit sketchy. Williams wanted to come into the pit lane. There's contact 3 wide down the pit straight.
Wow, this is very, very, very interesting stuff. Like, he gambled. He knew that he could not afford to stay behind these guys for too long, especially with Carlson going long on the hard tyre. He took the gamble. He was 3 wide down the straight, and Flores in front of that group, which I believe will be definitely crucial. He couldn't hang about there, could he?
No, he couldn't. ICU, of course, now moving his way forwards in this respective train, joined just in behind him, actually. So didn't quite get the undercut he was expecting relative to Vies, potentially because of this traffic group. But Vies has negotiated it really well. Let's see how ICU does it. He just needs to be calm, composed, and then carve his way past the Williams. And, you know, the next possible opportunity is to not lose too much time to Forest Vies, trying to squeeze the gap open. In fact, is ICU now with the slipstream and the DRS, pulls out to the left-hand side, surely to catapult himself past. Sloshy does exactly that into the chicane of turns 12 and 13. A little bit concerned, though, in regards to Carson and Zach. Of course, they're going long. They're losing time. Well, maybe not this lap as such, but over the course of the next 2 or 3, depending, of course, on how long the other two stay out, Carlson absolutely is going to be losing track position. It all depends as to how quickly he can gain it back once he's on those mediums. And
the thing is with Carlson, like, you know, we've seen how far those mediums go at high pace there from Flores. But you know, he's also got to think like what these guys do to navigate the traffic. And I don't know. I think maybe was it a mistake from Carlson? Maybe he could have just pitted the lap after, and the mediums would have been fine. I don't know, but. We're not going to judge these guys. They are very experienced. We'll see what Carlson comes up and what strategy he's thinking towards the end. But like you say, he is losing time every lap here.
He is, and it's going to be time that he has to then make up once he's back on the mediums. And then also seeing the medium-hard battle that Carlson had, obviously, with the other 3, didn't necessarily inspire me with a ton of confidence that the mediums are that much quicker than the hards. So what I previously said about Carlson being in control of this race, I don't know, I'm thinking about it.
And there we go, he goes in the pit, Zach. He goes in the pit as Flores sets the fastest sector 2. We could see a new fastest lap here as you see the Aston Martin, the race leader, coming in. And how much time has he got? You see the Red Bull here passing him on the straight while setting the fastest lap with a 1:10.9. And he's quite comfortably ahead of the Aston Martin.
He is. That is a huge gap to be having. Carlson only now leaving the pit lane. There's Kimmy, of course. Carlson thankfully settling into some clear traffic. But what is that? That 4.6 seconds or so, closer to 5 seconds actually, between Flores Vies and Carlson in terms of the gap. Of course, the Alfa Romeo of Zach leading the way, still yet to come into the pit lane. But 12 seconds, Flores Vies has closed that gap to. That is sensationally quick. Maybe Zach hanging off for the softs, but even then, I don't think there's going to be that big of an advantage for him to use to catch back up and then, of course, pass, I should say, before the race is over. I think Forest Vies has firmly seized control of this race, ran away with it when it's counted. It's down to the others, of course, but as it stands, my money's behind Vyers.
I think it is at this stage. Maybe that's a strategy blunder there from Carlson, but he is on that medium compound tyre. I've got to say, I see you, has jumped Carlson as well. He also has made the pit stop. The only guys yet to make a pit stop is Zach and F1 Kimi. So they looks like they're going very long, and maybe, like you said, going into going for the softs at the end. As you see Curse getting past Kimi as Kimi does go into the pits.
Yeah, finally, a long time on those mediums, very respectably so, onto the softs. That is the job at hand. Of course, Sloshy setting the fast lap of the race, a 1:10.6. Of course, he is sat, as it stands, P12, so 2-lap fresh mediums, and with the DRS and assistance of Sam ahead with the slipstream as such. So really good lap time being put in by the Williams, who themselves are having a fairly decent day in terms of race pace. Forest Fires, though, closing that gap another 3 seconds nearly since we last checked in. I mean, I understand going for the softs, a quick end to this race, absolutely, but you're only going to get sort of 11, 12, 13 laps to use them before the race is over. And by the time he comes out, what's he going to be? Maybe 12 seconds behind Vyers? He's going to have to close a second a lap. Maybe, but I don't see it happening.
No, I don't see it happening either, Zach, and it's just quite concerning because the gaps that were 4 drivers within half a second of each other, and now you're looking at the way that this strategy is unfolded. It looks like the experience of that Formula One ex-Haas esports driver has really paid off when it comes to the strategy around here. It looks like he's got it bang on today.
Yeah, of course, Pitt probably when he expected to. Thankfully, it was in response to ICU and was able to then cover off the undercut. He's then used that pace as soon as he's out of the pit lane. He is straight on it. Not, oh, I'm on new tyres, I need to find the limit. No, it's boom, I'm on it, and I'm going. I know what's at stake. And now he's basically negated the pit stop deficit to Zach already, gained 2 seconds on ICU behind, keeping ahead of Carlson most crucially, who, yeah, maybe by the end of this race will get ahead of ICU. But by that point, by the time they've squabbled and battled for what is effectively second place, Forest Fires will be a good 5, maybe 6 seconds up the road, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more, give or take. But I think that pit stop strategy firmly has won Vyers the top spot in this race. Zach finally into the pit lane, of course, to take softs, but he's going to be miles behind his rivals.
And not only that, he's got to negate traffic as well. But just keeping an eye on Carlson, it looks like he knows what he's got to do here, and he's taken a second out of ICU, and he's almost in that DRS zone. I think he knows what he needs to do. He needs to get ahead of ICU and chase down Flores. Can the last year's champion do it here at Netherlands round 1 of the Tuatara Championship? Zach then comes out of the pits in 6th place with a lot of work to do on those soft tyres.
Yeah, of course, they're going to be really quick to warm up. His fuel tank is going to be, a third of what it was at the start of this race. Now we're 66.6% of the way through. So less, weight. Therefore the car's going to be a little bit more responsive and therefore less load on the tyres, so we can push the tyres a little bit harder for a little bit longer. So everything is sort of in the way of, tipped the way of Zach at the moment in terms of advantages. The only problem is the gap that's materialised because of the late call onto the softs.
Just on board then with the Alpine driver of Rocket Man. He's got the DRS open. Is he going to make a little snip to the inside? No, he doesn't. He filters back through, but we're going to go back up to the front here as Carlson makes that move before turn 1, and he's got himself up to P2 on the mediums. He's got one more job to do here now. Can he do it, Zach?
2.6 seconds. 11 laps left, 12 laps actually left of this race, 11 and a half we'll call it at 2.6 seconds, 3 laps fresher, softer tyres in the form of the reigning champion, and this is the rivalry that we're going to come to expect. Get used to this anticipation, get used to these nail-biting finishes, because over the course of the next week, 9 weeks, as we travel our way through the Tuatara Season 3 Championship, Vyers, Carlson, they're going to be going at each other completely for this crown. Of course, Carlson trying to defend it. Vi is coming in with the pressure of being the spotlight driver, trying to topple him at the top. 2.4, we're going to have to keep a very sneaky eye on that gap over the coming laps.
Yeah, we do indeed. And of course, for I see you on the hard tyre, it's probably be best for him at this stage of the race to try and stick with Carlson to maybe bring it in as he brings that gap down just ever so slightly on lap 26 now. Just a quick mention of the Williams drivers, P10 and 11. Sloshy did get ahead of AJ Mackey for the last points position so far. It's 1-0 to Sloshy if he can hold that P10.
Yeah, and that's, of course, going to be the big thing. Fastest lap set by the Alfa Romeo of Zach. On a charge, already back into the top 4, but 7 seconds to close to ICU to get himself back onto the podium and at least make this strategy somewhat worth it. 6.9 now is the gap. Again, another one we're going to have to keep a very keen eye on. Only a 10th slower through the first sector as well, so the consistency is there, but he can't burn out these tyres too quick. Still 10 laps left to go in this race. And we're keeping an eye on the fight for first. Carlson makes that sub 2 seconds down to just 1.7. And also Zach making that only 6.5 second deficit to ICU. And of course, with 26 laps complete in this race, as I say, only 10 laps left to go at the line. Forest Fires, 1.6 at the moment ahead of Carlson. He's going to be keeping a very sneaky look on that deficit. 46% ERS as well, compared to the 25% of Carlson, who is definitely using a little bit more. So, of course, for Vyers, maybe he's saving for the inevitable as such. That ERS deployment that he's saving up, maybe he's already accepted the fact that Carlson is going to catch. He just wants to make sure he's prepared for when it does happen.
He does, and it's 1.4 seconds is the gap. Carlson is doing everything he can right now, and he's doing a good job at it as well. But is he taking too much out of the mediums? When he catches him, does he have enough left to get ahead and stay ahead? This is going to be one hell of a battle with the last 9 laps of this race. I see has been dropped a little bit from Carlson. He's really a man on a charge, that Aston Martin driver.
He very much is, and looking very, very strong, of course. That's checking over with him, of course. Both of them running really well. Carlson in second, sub 1 second, already back into the DRS range on lap 27 of 36. This has happened a lot quicker than I expected, and once again, the tide of this race has shifted.
It has indeed, but just keeping an eye on Kurse. Kurse looking very racy at the minute in the Mercedes car. In 6th place at the minute, chasing down Slapbus as we go into the area where, you know, it's probably 1 of 2 overtaking points. We can maybe get a few on under braking other areas, but here we go then. Kurse, down the straight he goes and gets that move done. Nice, easy overtake. One of the easiest ones he'll probably do tonight.
Yeah, probably so. I think Slapbus actually swapped places with them this time on the previous lap. So trading places as such, they've now got the McLaren to contend with of Alistair behind, just about half a second back off the back of Slapbus. So 3-way fight here for the top 5. Kurse on the oldest, hardest tyre, Slapbus in the middle, and then of course Alistair on the freshest, softest compound as well. So of course should be a very entertaining battle. That fight for the lead though down to just half a second. Now if I was Carlson, you've got time, right? You've still got 8 laps left to go at in this race. You're in the DRS, you're quicker. Don't waste all your ES battling now. Save it, sit in a slipstream, get your battery up to about 50-60% or so, then deploy it right at the end of the race.
So Banana then sets the fastest lap on the soft compound tyre, but unfortunately for him, he is off out of the top 10, so it might not count for him. But he's the guy who has that lap record out there tonight so far. Now, speaking about the ERS, Flores then has obviously gone through a phase where he knows that the challenge is going to come, and he's done quite well to save a little bit of ERS there, but they're now starting to come up to traffic of Phantom.
Yeah, of course, blue flags will be waved. The McLaren should get out of the way at the earliest convenience, of course, whenever it's safe to do so. The important thing is, be predictable. You know, don't suddenly swerve out the way and brake. Just let the leaders get around.
Oh, we got yellow flags!
And I think the, is that the Williams? I think it is. No, the Alpine of Rocketman, unfortunately, rounded turn 4.
So Rocketman then has had a little bit of an incident, but he's got himself underway. I don't think he's got any damage. Maybe those medium tyres just lighting up a bit too much for him.
Yeah, easily done on the exit of turn 4, of course. You're trying to maximise your exit and, of course, applying a lot of torque to the rear wheels, 1,000 horsepower, give or take, in these V6 hybrids, of course, of the Formula 1 engines. A lot of power, all to the rear wheels, and, of course, with the pressure and with the undulation, of course, of turn 4, that traction zone, very easy to allow the car to step out.
So lap 30 then, and Carlson just happy to stick behind Flores at this stage. But what do you do here with Carlson? Oyster gets a move then, and still battling now with the Mercedes. The Mercedes goes round the outside, trying to hold position. They touch wheels here. Oh, and it gets very bullshy, but they're still going at it. The Mercedes round the outside will get the better traction. It brings the Red Bull in as well, and it's 3 going through a very fast section here. My God, Kurz manages to hold on to that position. Fantastic stuff.
Absolutely incredible. I think the addition of Slapbus into that battle really assisted the Mercedes in order to stay in front. But what valiant defense that we're seeing from Kurz at this stage. I mean, 4 laps older, harder tyres compared to Auster on the softs. That is insane stuff to be seeing. And, of course, not giving up that 5th place. Of course, 10 points to go with it. He is looking very pretty for a decent finish.
He is indeed. And fair play to the drivers, giving each other respect. And that could have gone horribly wrong with the amount of wheel banging going on there. But the drive craft and the skill level to keep that going, as well as continuing the battle, is absolutely amazing, and it's just great to watch and great to commentate on, isn't it?
It is. I'm having a ton of fun. I think they're still going at it. Auster versus Kurz once again into turn number 1. It's going to be once again the Mercedes keeping his footing around the outside through the sweepers once more. The Mercedes has the grip to keep himself on the inside, but what can Auster do the long way round? Of course, let's see what Slapbus gets involved in this as well. The momentum for Auster keeps his footing. Has he got the traction with those fresh soft compound tyres as well? Now through the left, then the right. He's going to claim the inside line if he's confident enough to keep that nose into the right-hander. And of course, this space opens up. He's going to chuck the move to the inside, but Kurz valiantly keeps that move ahead.
Absolutely brilliant from both drivers. How is Kurz? I mean, this is a defensive masterclass.
It is, and I don't know how he is doing it. I don't know what he had for breakfast, but give me some of his Weetabix.
Oh my God, fantastic. And they go around again, but we've got to go up to the top here. Could this be the moment that Carlson takes it to Flores? Into turn 1 it goes to the inside, under brake, and they go. It's side by side action, and guess what? Carlson is ahead of Flores here on lap 32.
Don't expect it to be over. Flores Bias, he might be at a disadvantage in terms of the tyres, but he has got the willpower. He has got the mentality of a champion, of a top-level esports driver. And if he can stay with Carlson, he will. That DRS, that ERS game, he's got 10% more in his battery reserve. That's 10% longer. He can use that 160 extra brake horsepower to the rear wheels. Once again on the pit straight, expect him to dump it and get that place back.
So F1 Kimi then gets himself up into 9th place then, Sam. Having to yield there under the DRS, but let's see how that unfolds as we go round another lap. But back up to the top then of Flores, having to yield here at the minute, but he will have the better tyres come the last few laps.
Yeah, of course, don't forget those mediums will be degrading a lot faster than the hards will be. And, of course, into the final few laps, let's see how Carlson and Vyers both manage their tyres with the DRS. Let's see if Vyers launches the button in terms of the overtake. Definitely has the advantage. Doesn't on this particular occasion, but it doesn't really matter. He's all over the rear end, all over the diffuser of the Aston Martin. But, of course, doesn't go for it.
No, he backs out.
An opportunity to, but maybe confident that he can just stay under the rear wing, put some pressure on, and then go for it in a couple of laps' time.
Yeah, I mean, we were riding on board with him there, Zach, and you could see the lift. He was happy to just put the pressure on under braking, but not go for a move. And I think he's setting himself up for saving that ARS and really attacking in the last few laps. But it's all for now, Carlson, to hold on and defend like a god. Who is it going to be here that takes the first win at Netherlands in round 1 of the Tuatara Season 3 Championship? It's been incredible racing throughout, and 3 laps left to go. Who's your money on?
I don't know. I don't know. The reigning champion of Carlson, fresher tyres, track position, Floris Vyers, of course, a plethora of sim racing experience to fall back on. He's been in this exact same scenario probably 10 times before, knows exactly how to deal with it. I genuinely don't know. I think there's been a good point raised in the Twitch chat, of course, in regards to Floris Vyers and his decision is to just wait. He doesn't want to go for a move at this point because he knows he goes for a move. Carlson is going to do the exact same thing in a lapse time into turn number 1. If he waits for that final run into turn number 1, that arguably one of the final opportunities of the race, then it's not going to leave much opportunity for Carlson to re-overtake him as such. So Vyers, it's risky because it gives him one shot, but if it does work, it's a home run victory.
If it works, he's the champion. He's a god. If it doesn't, then will he start thinking about, could I have done something different? Could I have done something better? But, you know, where would you rather be right now? In the lead, defending, or just at the back with the having to make the gamble later on? It's a hard decision to make, but like I say, Carlson, happy to be in front at the minute.
Yeah, well, in fairness, Vyers, he's got the slipstream, he's got the DRS, he's probably got the psychological game as well. Not only that, but 20% more energy recovery system relative to Carlson. He's there, he's chilling, he's just saving his energy in the slipstream, waiting to dump it, probably in a lapsed time with the DRS, of course. Now using a little bit of overtake just to stay in touch, I think, more than anything.
Oh, he's going for it!
But no, he's going to go for it.
And he gets it done, Zach. Sorry there, I thought you were going for it. I think we both paused at the same time. So Floris then goes for the move on the penultimate lap.
Yeah, interesting stuff because it gives the opportunity that Vyers, the opportunity we thought Vyers was going to go for, now to Carlson. So unless Vyers has got this idea that he's going to dump all of his battery to stay ahead onto the final lap, I'm not entirely sure. It doesn't hurt to have that track position, but maybe just saw an opportunity and thought, you never know if I'm going to get another one. I might as well do it.
Exactly that. So, Floris then ahead on the penultimate lap. We see Sam and Kimmy battling for P9 and 10. And not only that, Reese has joined the party as well. Goes round the outside. Can he hold it there with a better traction? No. And once again has to yield and stay behind this trio.
Unfortunately so. And now the two leaders are going to be starting the final lap of this race. Vyers leads. Carlson with the slipstream. All of his ERS is now going to go into this one move. We've waited 35 laps of racing. Now we've got two tyrants of F1 esports going side by side. The Aston Martin goes the long way around, but it's so late on the brakes. It's Floris Vyers and there's contact. And Carlson is sent sideways onto the final lap of the race. Surely it's Vyers' to win.
I think it is there. I mean, they give everything, both of them give everything into turn 1 and 2. And, you know, Carlson there just getting a bit slippy into turn 1. And I think that was his opportunity. Floris looks like his experience has paid off. And if he brings it home, he's got that first race win under his belt.
Yeah, and that's a huge statement into the rest of the season. Of course, he's going to have that confidence. Carlson, he's all out of steam, I think. No ERS left in the battery. The tyre is probably a little bit shot from the spin. Swapping places once again is Kimmy and Sam. They're still going side by side into turn number 4. Brilliant racing for the back end of the top 10. But close to the finish now is Floris Vyers. He's only got 2 more corners left to go before he claims victory of round 1.
Indeed he has, and what a race it's been. He kept his cool, he put it on pole, and he comes round the last bend here at Netherlands to claim the victory here for round 1 of the Tuatara Championship. What a race! Carlson in second, a valiant effort, valiant battle, but it's 1-0 Floris, and the guy, and I see you, comes through to get that last podium place. Wow.
Well, we get until the 19th of March every week to enjoy those two doing that. Bring it on. The Tuatara Championship, I can't wait to see what's in store. Obviously, new challenges from maybe other people at different rounds as such. Vyers and Carlson swapping that top spot as Kimmy and Kuss, I believe, fight to the end. Or in fact, no, Sam, DNF on the final lap.
DNF for Sam on the final lap. What's happened there? No, it's fuel. We've got people running out of fuel here on track. No safety car in this race, and it looks like the guys took a gamble to go less fuel. And we're seeing guys running out of fuel here. So it's going to be Reese who crosses the line, I think, maybe. Oh, I don't know. Just about crosses the line with no fuel. Reese takes P10, the last points. Wow.
Not bad from obviously nearly not being in the race entirely for try one of the of round one. But in the end, points scored for Reese, just, I suppose. But 20 laps on the hards, didn't do a bad job by any stretch of the imagination. And then, of course, crawling it home with low fuel mode still takes a point, and it's something going into the rest of the season.
It is indeed. Wow, I can't believe that. The guys, I mean, that's the thing when you're picking what sort of fuel you go in. Are you going to gamble with a safety car? And of course, no safety car here at Netherlands. And some of these guys were caught out there. And Reese nearly got overtaken by his teammate right at the end when he run out of fuel. F1 Kimi gets the Gamers driver of the day. Who is your driver of the day then, Zach?
I mean, it's tricky because we've had such a good race. There have been so many monster drives. But, I mean, I could give it to anyone of the top two, really. Both Vyers and Carlson both drove a sublime race as such. I mean, I don't necessarily really know who to give it to. I mean, Kimi came from 19th to 7th. So in terms of pure overtakes, it was definitely him. The person who drove the best race, though, has to be Floris Vyers. Yeah,
I think it's safe to say that, you know, with all the nerves, round one and everything like that, he put it on pole. He had the battle with Carlson and he came out on top. So round one, I got to say, for me, it's got to be Floris.
I know it's such an easy cop-out to just go, oh, he won the race, it was pole position, easy. But it wasn't. It wasn't a pole to flag victory by any means. I mean, it looks that by the timing tower, sure. But he had to fight off 3 drivers that were breathing down his neck for the entirety of the first stint. He then had to, you know, compose himself after being overtaken by Carlson with 10 laps left to go. He then had to launch a counterattack and then keep it on that final lap when everything counted. Floris Vyers, I mean, to come into this championship with so much pressure as the spotlight driver with everything around him, he negotiated that with just such prowess and such elegance, really.
Absolutely. Let's see if we can have a word with the drivers. We're just going to put in the chat to join the podium interviews. Right, there we go. I've put it in chat. Let's see if we get the drivers into the podium interviews. So we'll just wait a minute, see if we can get them in. Carlson's in the waiting room. Okay, so if we can now open up your Discord and get yourself into the podium there, Zach, and we'll see what these guys have got to say. Don't forget to mute yourself on the when you're talking and when you're not. Okay. I'm not sure how this is going to work. First time we're getting this working. Let's see if it works fine on here. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you'll be able to hear these guys. Wow, what a race. Let's start off with, if we've got him in. No, we don't have third place, but we do have Carlson and Floris in the interview room right now. Guys, can you hear us?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so we're going to start off with Carlson. Carlson, last year's champion. How did that go for you?
I think it went all right. Started on the hards, and everyone else started like on mediums. I was fighting for the top positions. I just stayed out a bit later, went for an overcut, caught them back up.
I mean,
yeah, that was East, basically.
I mean, Carlson, you're very much known as the Kimi Räikkönen of the Tuatara Championship. Man of few words. But how would you feel this championship's going to go with the likes of Floris, who brings his A game today?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but yeah, we'll see. Sure. No idea.
Do my best. We were there in the comms box there, just questioning that strategy by you going quite long there in your first stint, and you know, with the gap being so tight, to come out of the pits with 4 seconds behind, 4 seconds behind Floris, to catch that up and take that battle. We were questioning it, but obviously you got the job done. But that that battle there, Floris just managed to stay ahead. Talk us through that last lap battle there.
Yeah, I think my tires were a bit better at the end, so I just wanted to stay behind, be close, and have the DRS as it's very strong. And then I tried to go around the outside, but he obviously braked very late and ran into me. Kind of got into a half spin.
Oh, shots fired already, Carlson.
I mean, it wasn't very fair, I guess. But if you want to drive like that, I'm
Oh, Floris. Well, there you go, Floris. Sorry, Carlson, that is P2 for you. A great start for yourself. There's no taking away that. So, Floris, round 1 of the Tuatara Championship. First time you've entered this, and you've got yourself a P1. Talk us through that, and talk us through, were you expecting the competition to be this good for you? Or talk us through what your experience out there.
Well, first of all, congrats to Carlson on P2 and the podium. It's you on P3.
We call him I see you, I see you.
Yeah, and I literally haven't practiced 20 minutes before the race, so and I touched the game a month ago, so haven't done any race runs. I just only did 5 laps in PT and a few laps in GP mode to just get up to speed. And for some reason, I got pole position out of that. And then the strategy was a little bit of a gamble. I was thinking about going medium soft, but then thought better of it and did a medium hards, which came out to be the right decision. And then made a couple of mistakes in the race because that was my first race stint in over a month.
So what you're saying, Floris? There's more to come from you in this season.
I think there is. If I practice like I used to back in the day, then there's definitely more to come, because I think the setup I had on the car was not ideal, not to my liking. It was working definitely, but there are obviously more refinements to the setup. But still, huge congrats to Carlson to stay close. Unfortunately, on that last lap, I tiny bit outbraked myself, locked up the right front tiny bit. So that was a little bit argy-bargy right there. I think it was on the cusp of being clean or not, because.
Well, to be fair, racing's racing, and of course you're both wanting that P1. You're both wanting to get off to this season with a win. For me, I was looking at that. It looked like two guys going at it, and like I said, a slight bit of outbreaking, but it could have gone a lot worse. Of course, that's not for us to decide. That's the stewards. Stewards will decide that on what goes on there. But for me, as a commentator, it was fantastic to see effort from both of you. It was fantastic racecraft from both of you, and you guys put on an amazing show for the whole of that race. It really was. To have a battle like that going for the whole race and finishing pretty much within a second of it, 2/10 of each other, it was just fantastic to watch, and I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season with how you guys battle it out.
Of course, that the battle. Looking forward to the battle, but of course, I want to do it cleanly in the future, because this is not how I want to race. It was on the edge of being clean, but I still need to have a look into it myself. Of course, you say it's part of racing, but. Yeah, as I said,
it happens at times, doesn't it?
It happens, but I want to have a fair, clean fight instead of argy-bargy all the way through.
I mean, for sure, that's very admirable of you. And of course, like you say, if you're going to win, you want to win properly without any controversial moments. Zach, can you hear us at all? Nod your head if you can. Oh, Zach, have you got anything for these drivers?
Well, just congrats to you both. Obviously, I think we've covered everything in terms of questions as such, but obviously, great way to start the season as such. Obviously, the preparation that's gone in for from the both of you. Both of you clearly very strong drivers. You've proven that obviously in all your previous endeavors as such. I just want to say congrats and give us more.
Exactly that. So, yeah, thank you very much for the feedback, guys, through the Twitch channel. We will adjust the microphone levels as we get into round two. So the feedback is very welcome, and I thank you for that, guys, as well. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, we don't have our third place I See You, but congratulations to him as well, getting that last podium position. So there you go. Zach, round one.
In the books already. It's closed in on us so quick, and just like that, it's over. But of course, over the course of the next few weeks, we will travel to a multitude of different circuits. Of course, we started here in the Netherlands, which is understandable. Obviously, the home turf of Tuatara as such. In a week's time, we'll head to the circuit to Barcelona, Catalonia, Abu Dhabi, Austria for round number 4, then Imola to round off the halfway point, and then of course we go to the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, Montreal in Canada, before we head to Silverstone, Jeddah, Brazil, and Portugal for the 10-round calendar. Should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to each and every single one of those rounds. I think they all pose themselves with different challenges and hopefully mix-ups in terms of the results as well. As long as you've got a clean, steady championship all the way through, then I'm game.
Exactly that. I mean, I think by round one and what we just seen there, we've got a very, very exciting and competitive championship ahead of us. Like Zach said there, round 2 next week at Spain, Catalonia, same time, Tuesdays, 7 p.m. UK time. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been a pleasure to commentate with my man here. Isn't he amazing? From a young 17-year-old man. Can we give him a round of applause, guys? Because he's going places, right? He's going places.
Oh, I appreciate it. It's fine. I'm just happy to be here. As I say, it's a bit, it's something new for me, obviously, to come back to the F1 scene as such. So, yeah, thanks for the warm welcome, I suppose.
and we're gonna get better as well. I mean, there was a few moments where people were getting annoyed because I was interrupting, but we'll get there. It's the first partnership, but I hope you guys enjoyed it, and looking forward to next week. It's time to sign off now, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching the Tuatara Championship Season 3, the round opener at the Netherlands. Floris was your race winner. It's time for Carlson to maybe rethink how he's going to go for the next of the season. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye. God bless.